Hello everyone. So we'll start lesson 18 of Modern India Tamil Nadu class 12, and this lesson is about the Justice Party rule. So we'll study like the timeline of the elections which happened in Tamil Nadu, how Justice Party actually emerged and the background behind that, and also what were the reforms which were brought by the Justice Party. So we'll study all that. Let's start. So the Justice Party actually is synonymous for non-Brahmin movement because like they actually gave adequate representation to all the non-Brahmins because Brahmins were dominating the whole sphere of like political economical. So basically the Justice Party rule in the Madras presidency was a social revolution against the domination of Brahmins. You know in the sphere of public services, education, even press, is said to be, monopolized by the Brahmins. So this party came up as a revolution, social revolution against the domination of Brahmins. So as already discussed, that main cause of this, of the birth of this party was social dominance of the Brahmins. Brahmins were actually in so much proportion that everywhere, like even in civil service, education institutions, Madras Legislative Council, press, everywhere they were leading in numbers. So obviously, the non-Brahmins, they will be discriminated. If a particular section is everywhere, definitely there is some biasness going on. Okay, so definitely the other section will be deprived of resources, of powers. So Justice Party came up as a voice of all the non-Brahmins. And how this all happened, I mean, it cannot happen in a blink of a second. Just you wake up from a dream and a party comes up speaking up, like for speaking up for the non-Brahmins. So it happened gradually that they rediscovered the greatness of Tamil language literature. So it kind of gave them the self confidence that okay, we have a great culture, we have a great like history to be proud of. So how this all came up, it was like a book was published by Robert Caldwell in 1856, a comparative grammar of the Dravidian or South Indian family of languages. So this gave birth to the Dravidian concept. Okay, and there was also one book that was the Tamils 1800 years ago by V Kanakasa Bhai Pillai, which pointed out that Tamils had attained a high degree of civilization before the advent of the Aryans. That means that before the Aryans came up, Tamils had a high degree of civilization. So that is what gave them self pride, and then they started voicing against the Brahmins that we have a rich history, we can be proud of that. So this was how the confidence built up. And now we'll see the whole timeline of how the elections were won by Justice Party. So in 1920, Justice Party secured 63 out of 98 elected seats in Madras Legislative Council, and A. Subbarayalu Reddyar, he formed the ministry. Then again in 1923, the party fought against Swaraj Party. So Swaraj Party was the party which was founded by Chitranjan Das and Motilal Nehru, where like Motilal Nehru was the secretary and Chitranjan Das was the president, where they had the idea that if like they remain in the council, they can obstruct the working of the government. So basically this Swaraj Party came out of Indian National Congress and had formed this party to fight against Britishers, because I said there were some ideological differences going on, like not ideological also, it was all about like implementation thing. There were differences in how they want to obstruct the government. So Swaraj Party felt that they will stay in the council and then they will obstruct the working of the government. So this Justice Party fought against Swaraj Party in like Tamil Nadu, and even there they won the majority. And it was formed by, the ministry was formed by Raja of Panagal. Oh my God, I struck it out, but it is the right statement. Okay. Okay, so in 1926, divided Justice Party faced United Congress. That means there was some, conflicts going on in the Justice Party, and Congress, came up as a strong party because all the people came up together of this party. So definitely, if you get divided, you lose. So Independent A. Subbarayan, with Swaraj Party, they formed the ministry. Then in 1930, Justice Party again won majority, and the leader was B. Muniswamy Naidu. Okay, and in 1932, Raja of Bobili as Prime Minister of the presidency. Again in 1932 they won. In 1934 they won. Again Raja of Bobili formed his second ministry, and this continued in power until the election of 1937, because in 1937 Congress won in Tamil Nadu as well under C. Rajgopalachari. So yes, Justice Party, like the end of Justice Party was there in 1937. So what were the achievements of the Justice Party? So I think there are like several achievements. So first of all, the reforms brought by them were huge. They brought social, political, educational, all kind of reforms. So as we already saw in the intro, that it was a social revolution, really. So what were the reforms they brought in education? So first thing is free and compulsory education was introduced, which is a must for any progressive society. If you really want your society to progress, to upgrade itself, education is a must. So this was really a very big achievement, I must say. Nearly 3,000 fisher boys and fisher girls were offered free special instruction by the Department of the Fisheries. So the fisher boys and fisher girls, they were, offered free special instruction by Department of, Fisheries. Now see, these all are important if you consider the employment of people, local people. So it helped the, fisher boys and girls to kind of conduct their services, conduct their jobs well. So that this is also a welcome step, I think. And then midday meals at selected corporation schools in Madras. So this was also again a welcome step. Midday meals, even see now we have midday meals in our schools. So obviously if that time it was introduced, it was really like, I think, a very far forward thinking, I must say, that they were understanding that midday meals are required. So midday meals were introduced, selected, but yes. And Madras Elementary Education Act, it was amended in 1934 and 1935 to improve elementary education. So elementary education is like for the starting education when you are like nursery, LKG, UKG. So that elementary education again was improved under Justice Party. And education of girls received encouragement. So this is a big deal because as you know that when India became independent, India was one of the very few countries uh, who gave equal voting rights to everyone, because in many developed countries also women got voting rights later. So women were not getting that much encouragement at that point of time. So education of girls receiving encouragement was a big deal. So it's a great achievement again. Education of depressed classes entrusted with labor department. So yes, depressed classes were also provided education, and that was entrusted with labor department. So basically focus was provided to them, attention was given to them, that yes, you need special care and we will provide that to you because you have been deprived of your rights. So that is why education of depressed classes becomes important. Next is encouragement to Ayurveda, Siddha, and Unani medical education. So this was also encouraged. Now these are actually traditional medicine systems. So if you remember, we have Ministry of Ayush right now, that is Ayurveda, Yoga, and Naturopathy, Unani, Siddha, and Homeopathy. So basically, Ayurveda, Siddha, and Unani, their focus is, their structure of thought is kind of common, that there are some elements in our body, and if the balance gets disrupted, then we get ill. So that is the whole idea. So obviously there are different ideas, but the basic idea is that there are some elements in our body, and if there is balance in those elements, then we remain healthy, and if there is some imbalance in the elements, then we get sick. So that is the whole idea behind Ayurveda, Siddha, and Unani. So these are traditional systems. So these were also encouraged under Justice Party. And government took over power of appointing district munsifs. So munsifs were like who kind of handled all money related, payment related things. So government took over power of appointing them. So first it was under high court, but government took it under itself, that now we will appoint the district munsifs. Then communal government orders of 1921 and 22 provided for non-Brahmin reservations. So this is a very big achievement. The whole, main cause behind the birth of Justice Party was standing against dominance of Brahmins. So they actually fought so hard that finally government had to give order for non-Brahmin reservation of appointments in local bodies and education institutions in increased proportion. Okay, so the reservation was provided in increased proportion to the non-Brahmins, not only in educational institutions but also in local bodies. Okay, and staff selection board was created by Panagal Ministry in 1924, and this staff selection board was actually made the Public Service Commission. Okay, I think my mouse is not working well. I'm trying to underline, but it's not being. I'm so sorry. So, staff selection board was made the Public Service Commission in 1929. So this was first of its kind in India because women voting rights were same as men. So I must say that India was very progressive in this because there was always demand for universal franchise. So I think that was, I think, very progressive idea which we had in our mind. At least women rights were always fought for. So women voting rights were provided same as men under Justice Party here. So that is kind of revolutionary. And Hindu Religious Endowment Act of 1921 was brought by the Panagal ministry again to eliminate corruption in the management of temples. So if you remember, even in Punjab, there was some corruption in the management of temples. There also some corruption was going on in, appointment of mahants and all. So that was there in Tamil Nadu as well. So Hindu Religious Endowment Act of 1921 was brought to eliminate corruption in, the whole management of temples. Then State Aid to Industries Act 1922 was brought to basically, encourage new industries. And this act finally, led to several new industries, and these included sugar factories, then engineering works, then tanneries, aluminum factories, cement factories, oil milling, and so on. So if you don't know what are tanneries, so tanneries are basically where the skins of animals are processed, like when you produce leather, so that processing of skin happens somewhere, so that place is tannery. Okay, where basically the skins of animals are processed to produce leather and everything. Okay, so Town Improvement Committee of the Madras Corporation was again uh, introduced actually slum clearance and housing schemes. So the Committee for Town Improvement of the Madras Corporation, they introduced slum clearance and housing schemes. So they not only addressed the non-Brahmins, they also addressed the education of the whole state. They addressed the corruption going on in the management of temples. They addressed the economy, basically they addressed the industries part, that formation of new industries must be encouraged. And they also took care of the slums, then everything. So basically their arena of working was diverse, I must say. They were not only restricting their whole point to non-Brahmins reservation. Their whole idea was to basically reform the whole state, bring reforms at all levels, and that we can see here. And Justice Party also gave wastelands in village to depressed classes. So this was to help depressed classes, basically, since they were so deprived of all their rights for so many years. Then it was just to help that if we provide wastelands to them, then they can use that and kind of bring at least something good for them, some monetary benefits or something. So that was how they tried to help depressed classes. Even for fishermen, you see, they brought education, for fisher boys and fisher girls. So I think their work was really diverse and really revolutionary in true terms. And Devdasi system was abolished. So we will like talk about Devdasi system in detail. So Devdasi system is like, as you can understand from the term, that Dev is like God and Dasi is like servant. So here the idea was that under Devdasi system, uh, any minor child, basically under 18, uh, minors, they were married to a god, and they were assumed that now they have to serve God for their whole lives. But in recent years, it has, the system is actually used for prostitution. And even after so many years, this system is still in news because it is still occurring in some places like Karnataka, and even it has spread to Goa. And it is very sad, but Karnataka Devdasi's Prohibition of Dedication Act was brought in 1982. But still, the state government has not issued rules to implement this law. Okay. And like we have so many acts for like juvenile sexual exploitation and all, for preventing sexual exploitation of children, like POXO Act 2012, then Juvenile Justice Act 2015. But there is no reference of Devdasi system as form of sexual exploitation of children in that. So that is sad. And Trafficking of Persons Prevention, Protection and Rehabilitation Bill 2018, this also don't recognize girls as victims of trafficking, who are being victimized under Devdasi system. So these are some things which are really concerning, because even now, after so many years, see, we are talking about before independence, right? So Justice Party abolished Devdasi system at that point of time, and even still, after so many years of independence, we still have Devdasi system at some places. It is not fully gone from our country even now. It remains in news continuously. So you must know about Devdasi system. And we discussed that, what are the things, like, what are the acts which have not addressed basically Devdasi system. But still there are some laws which actually prohibit practice of this, not directly, but through the terms which are mentioned in the act. From that you can actually prohibit the practice of Devdasi system, like Criminal Law Amendment Act 2013, section 370 and 370A. So the provision related to trafficking. So basically Devdasi system is a kind of trafficking there, because parents or families, they sell their minor girls and for prostitution, and they just name it as like they are Devdasis. Then Indian Penal Code section 372. Now there is also provision for selling minor for prostitution. So, and so these kind of like provisions kind of prohibit the practice of Devdasi system. No direct reference, but yes, the acts which are taking place under Devdasi system are prohibited under these acts. Even like under Immoral Traffic Prevention Act, there are punishments for living on the earnings of prostitution. That if somebody is living on the earnings of prostitution of someone else, then if the person who has to go under prostitution is greater than 18, then the person who is living on the expenses of that person, that exploited person, is basically 2 years or rupees 1000 or both. And if that person is a child minor, the exploited person is a child or minor, then the imprisonment for the person who is actually living on the earnings of the exploited person will be minimum 7 years and maximum 10 years if that exploited person is a child or minor. So basically you can understand, and in Devdasi system basically the girls are under 18. Okay. So this is really a very like serious issue, and it is still prevalent in very rural kind of areas where still this system is going on, and they're named as Devdasis, but actually prostitution is taking place there. And so if we kind of look at the need of the hour, that what can be done. So there are three things which I have also taken from aside. That first point is enhance the livelihood sources for weaker sections. See, prostitution, if somebody is selling somebody or for prostitution, so basically they are doing that for money, right? So if you enhance the livelihood sources for weaker sections, maybe they can stop selling their children for these like practices. So I think money can be a big factor. Second is more inclusive socioeconomic development. So yes, of course, I mean, if you know there is socioeconomic development at all levels of all sections of the society, then obviously why will somebody go for all this kind of prostitution and everything? See, we can't say that everybody won't, but at least we can try that a major section may stop, who are actually feeling very that we don't have money, so we don't have other option, only we have this option. These kind of people can stop. Obviously greedy people can never stop, but if somebody is really वो होते हैं ना लाचार एकदम बेबस जो है, तो we can stop them, so we can try for that. Third is legislative overall. See, there are so many like POXO Act, Juvenile Justice Act, Trafficking Bill, which was brought in 2018. These are not addressing the Devdasi system. We know it is there, but still we are not addressing it. So it is important that we bring this in legislation directly. We mention it that this system will not be tolerated. It is abolished. Okay. So legislative overhaul is required, and more proactive role from state agencies are required. That state agencies address these issues, that yes, this is there in my state and we need to abolish it, we need to work on the abolition of that. Simply making a law and not working on it is not going to help. So that is what is required right now. Okay, so coming back to Justice Party, is that they also reorganized working of University of Madras. So they established Andhra University in 1926 and Annamalai University in 1929. Okay, so these were some major achievements of Justice Party, and I must say that really their work was revolutionary, really. So how did the Justice Party rule end? So basically, Government of India Act of 1935, it brought provincial autonomy. That meant that there will be more representation in the provinces, and provinces will be free to act within their own region. So provincial autonomy was like a big step. So in 1937 elections, KV Reddy Naidu led Justice Party and C Rajagopalachari led Congress South. But in the elections, obviously Congress won. Okay, so in Legislative Assembly, Congress won 152 out of 215 seats, and Legislative Council, Congress won 26 out of 46 seats. So in July 1937, Congress formed a ministry under C Rajagopalachari. So that was the end of Justice Party. And in 1944, there was a conference, Justice Party conference in Salem, and Pirari Nagar Anna renamed party as Dravidiar Kalagam. Okay, so that is how the party got its name renamed as Dravidiar Kalagam. And yeah, there was one thing is I missed a very major point, that this whole organization, was actually known as South Indian Liberal Federation. Okay, and one second. Yeah, so South Indian Liberal Federation. It got its name as Justice Party because it published a newspaper or magazine which was named Justice. Okay, so it got its name there from there, that Justice Party. So as I said that I missed one part, the party formation, related to the party formation, precursor of the Justice Party. Like there was a party before, Justice Party came up. That was Madras United League, and it was renamed as Madras Dravidian Association in November 1912. So it was formed in November 1912, and behind its formation, Dr. C. Natesha Mudaliar, he played a very significant role. Later, in 1916, a party came up, that is our Justice Party. Uh, you know, claps please. South Indian Liberal Federation. So in 1916 it came up, and it was formed for, we all know, that promoting the political interests of non-Brahmin caste Hindus. So this party published an English newspaper. As I said, there was some magazine or newspaper, so it was a newspaper that it published an English newspaper called Justice, and that is why it got its name as Justice Party. And behind its formation, people who were very significant were Pitti Thiagaraya Chetty, Dr. T.M. Nair, P. Ramaraya Ningere, who was known as Raja of Panigal, and Dr. C. Natesha Mudaliar, who was also significant, who also played a very significant role in the formation of Madras United League or Madras Dravidian Association. Okay, so and South Indian Liberal Federation, like aka Justice Party. It also formed district associations, the Non-Brahmin Youth League. So they're working really hard for upliftment of non-Brahmins. And there was also a Tamil newspaper, Dravidan, which actually supported the, Justice Party. So you should know this as well. So coming to the practice questions, please pause the video and I'll discuss the answers. So the South Indian Liberal Foundation, that is Justice Party, was formed in the year 1916. And which of the following journal was not founded by Periyar EVR? That is Swaraj. Okay, so you should know that these journals, Kudiyarasu, Viduthalai, and Purachi, were actually founded by Periyar EVR, the Ramaswamy Naikar, okay, who is popular for self-respect movement and Vaikom Satyagraha and all. Okay, and the Hindu Religious Act, we have already discussed about him a lot in the last video. So if you have not seen that, please go and watch. Periyar sir is our hero. Okay. So the Hindu Religious Act was passed in the year 1921 for removing corruption in the management of temples. Okay. Now comes the match the following. So communal government orders. So actually it was passed in 1921 and 22, but because there is you know like both in the option, and state aid, Madras State Aid to Industries Act was also provided in 1922. So we'll go for 1922 for Madras State aid, sorry, what I'm saying, it's not ad, it's aid. Okay, Madras State Aid to, are yaar, Madras State Aid to Industries Act 1922. Okay, and communal government order will, you know, go for 1921, where they had actually, increased the representation of non-Brahmins, the non-Brahmin reservation. Okay, and staff selection board was actually established in the year 1924, and Annamala University came up in 1929, and Andhra University came up in which year? Please write in the comments below. Okay, so yes. So this is where we end the video, and I really love reading your comments. So please give your feedbacks, love, anything which you have in your heart in the comments, because that makes me really, really happy. And thank you so much for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.